We're the Lorcana Twins, and we're back at it again with another episode. And in this one, we're going to talk about tournament information that was revealed that's happening at Gen Con.
Yeah, that's super exciting.
And then some semi-spoiled cards that were revealed within the past week. And finally, we're going to go over some of the franchises that have been revealed so far in the game. And we're going to talk about some cards and characters that we think might be included in this game from those franchises that haven't been revealed yet.
Right, there haven't been too many news developments since the last couple of conventions that have taken place with Gala, for example, and then there were a lot of cards revealed there, so that's understandable. But yeah, what was revealed was that there will be tournaments, specifically starter deck challenges at Gen Con, which is really exciting for anyone who is going to be attending. It's taking place in Indianapolis on August 3rd through the 6th. And just a little bit about these starter deck challenges. It looks like they're $20 to enter, and you are randomly given one of the 3 starter decks, and then you are able to use the booster pack that is included in the starter decks to modify the deck you get. And then you do, at least I think it is 3 rounds, about 50 minutes each, and then at the end of those Swiss rounds, the top 8 out of all the entrants will be invited to a grand finale tournament, which is invite only at the end of Gen Con on Sunday. So there's 7 different tournaments where people can try to win their way into that final one. And it does say the top 8 will receive a playmat for the first tournaments, and then the finale tournament, it's still undecided or unrevealed what that prize will be. So that's really exciting, and it sounds like a good first chance to do some organized competitive Disney Lorcana with the makers of the game right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little interesting. Participation is going to be limited. I think each tournament has 59 people, I think, that can play. So, definitely you're going to want to try to get that ticket if you're going, and this will be a first fun chance to really play the game. And I think it's cool that you get to mix in your booster pack with your starter deck. That'll just give a little bit of, modification to each deck, and it'll be interesting to see what people pull and how that enhances your chances.
Yeah, you'll never know what exactly they might have, whoever you're sitting across from, and maybe you get a really nice legendary card, but it's in a different ink color than your starter deck, so you can't even use it. So that could be kind of funny as well.
Yeah, for a lot of people, this could be the first pack that you open. So. If that's the case, it's probably going to be really fun. And
you'd just be happy to pull that legendary anyway.
I'm sure some people will get some nice surprises in their packs, but yeah.
Yep. So that's really exciting. And then there's also some learn to play demos if that's, more to someone's interest, or if you just want to, get a good foundation, an entry point into the game. And there's a lot of those sessions available as well. And yeah, it should just be a good time to learn more about Disney Lorcana. And then also there will be a booth with product for sale, but it hasn't been, officially announced what specific products they'll have on sale at the booth, but that'll just be exciting to see too. So if you're not in one of the tournaments, you can be waiting in line for the product. And then, yeah, I'm sure everyone there will be very hyped about Lorcana. We certainly, are super hyped about it. And yeah, we would love to go to Gen Con. We're not sure yet if we are or not. We're kind of trying to figure that out. But if we are, we will definitely be trying to get into the tournaments. It sounds like an amazing fun time. And yeah, it'll be cool to see.
Absolutely. So now there were some semi-spoiled cards that were revealed recently. It looks like these came from a magazine. Actually, this is from the product guide that comes in the Illumineers Trove. So there's a booklet that comes with that kind of shows off all the cards in the set. And it does say that the booklet will have some kind of tips and tricks and some strategies that you can use. So this appears to be a page where they touch on a combo of cards that may be effective together. It looks like Tinkerbell, Great Giant Fairy, and Beast Wolfsbane. So the picture here it's fantastic quality. You can see every detail with perfect clarity. So I'm sure you can see right there that how big Tinkerbell is. She's just taking up that entire card there with her giant size.
I didn't even have to get out the magnifying glass, but I could just tell right from afar that she is definitely a lot bigger than her normal form. But
yep, and I'm not sure if she's dancing or if she's doing some kind of attack.
She might be in flight.
She does appear to be flying. I was gonna say that too, but I'm not sure what she's flying over.
But
or really
a cool
what's
thing
happening.
to note about Tinkerbell is she looks to be floodborn, and so I'm imagining you can probably shift her on top of the other Tinkerbell card that we have seen more fully revealed. That is the 3-cost Tinkerbell. So It's not 100% clear what her ability does. Can't quite read the text there on that article page. But yeah, it's just, again, it's showing that there's another Floodborn character out there that we have yet to see. And I'm sure in the rest of the 100 plus cards that have yet to be revealed, there will probably be other characters getting some Floodborn variants. So it's just something to watch out for when you're, playing against someone who plays the base or the lower cost Tinkerbell. Do you want to deal with that early so they can't shift into this one?
And then, yeah, my favorite art revealed so far in the set is this, Wolfsbane Beast. It's just fantastic. And
I never thought that we'd see a Wolfsbane Beast, but there he is in all his glory. So
yeah, so presumably he's doing something to wolves here. I know in the movie he fights off some wolves that are attacking Belle. He kind of saves her in that moment. So whatever he does here, it'll be interesting, but it will probably have some combo potential with Tinkerbell. I know I've seen in the Discord some people were trying to make sense of this, text on the bottom here that looks pretty unreadable to me, but some of what they were maybe translating, it looked like Tinkerbell might do some damage when she comes into play, possibly, maybe to all exerted characters on the opponent's side of the field, or maybe it doesn't matter if they're exerted, but maybe it hits all exerted, and then maybe this Beast card, maybe you can exert some of your opponent's characters, so therefore if you played the Beast and then followed it up with this Tinkerbell, maybe you can do some damage across the board. We don't know.
That would definitely be a cool combo. And so for any people out there that were really excited about a Steel Emerald deck, it's very nice to note that here they're kind of spelling it out for us that this is a good combo to consider. And definitely so far from the cards that have been revealed, we're lacking that like area of effect damage or damage that can splash onto multiple units at once, which would be a great way to come back if you're kind of behind on board.
Yep.
You could include these two cards, and presumably if their effects are kind of what people have been guessing at, then that might be a tool you could use in that way.
And then I wonder too, like if both of these effects are on play, then it's kind of like, well, how much do they each cost? Because together you'd have to be able to pay off for all of that in one turn. So maybe too, some of them just have a while this is in play effect, and then Tinkerbell might be the on play. And then you really just need her after you get the Beast. Who can say? But we'll find out later.
Yep, and it's hard to see what their stats are too. As far as lore, it looks like the Beast.
It's just so blurry. Yeah, who knows? It could be one or two. It's really hard to say. But yeah, just that's really the only new cards we've seen lately, and unfortunately we didn't get to see much of them. But it's nice to see that the Floodborns, there's going to be a variety of those, and Beast has at least. So yeah, I think that's about enough of us pretending we know what any of this says or does, so let's move on.
Sure. Well then, with no further ado, we're going to get into the franchises in the game. And so we're going to... So now we're on Lorcania.com. Big shout out to them for keeping it updated with all the latest cards and news. And we're going to start with the franchise page they have here with 101 Dalmatians. So as we can see, they only have Cruella represented so far. But we're sure, based on the website, there will be Pongo, who is, as you can see, featured there with the red collar. And so, I mean, it's possible we could also see Perdita. And I thought it was interesting looking at them. Perdita has a blue collar, I believe. So maybe... Pongo with the red collar is in Ruby. Maybe Perdita could be in Sapphire. And then a couple other characters we could maybe see Horace and Jasper as, some of Cruella de Vil's henchmen, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've always wanted a Horace and Jasper card, and, I'm sure they would support Cruella in some fashion or another, so.
And, Horace and Jasper did appear in the Villainous edition that featured Cruella, so
yeah, I wasn't serious, I don't care too much about them, but there might be some Horace and Jasper fans out there, and...
right. I don't know how likely it is we'll see them, but that's a chance. Now moving on to Aladdin.
I feel like Aladdin will get more representation than the 101 Dalmatians, just because sure. I think the characters from this are a bit more recognizable, a bit more popular, I guess you could say.
Certainly for us, because I know we grew up watching Aladdin quite a bit, and so far we've got a couple different versions of Aladdin and a One Jump Ahead song card. Very
Wouldn't
cool.
be surprised if we see another Aladdin in Ruby, so that if you are building a deck and you want to shift into him, but you don't want to play Emerald, that would give you the option of that. So I think most shift cards we've seen have a lower version in the same color.
Yeah, Atlan's the only one we've seen that really doesn't. But
So I wouldn't be surprised there. And then Jasmine, you see we have the disguised version. But I'm sure that won't be, the last we see of Jasmine this set. I think she's going to be in her full-on princess attire.
Right, so in terms of characters that are missing, I think the genie is a definite include. I'd be very surprised if he does not appear. And then there's the possibility of some more supporting characters like Raja or Abu, and then the Sultan as well, and perhaps Iago to be more on the villainy side.
Yes. And then of course there's songs are another thing to think about. And we do have one jump ahead from Aladdin, but there's always the possibility, Friend Like Me, something like that.
A Whole New World, I think.
New world,
what if that was
absolutely.
like a board wipe where it kind of resets the board state and brings you to a new world? I mean, maybe it wouldn't be in that vein, but just different concepts they could play around with.
Yes.
Now on to Alice in Wonderland.
So here I think we're obviously missing the Alice, the main character, as well as the Queen of Hearts. I think a lot of times if a franchise was included, you're probably going to see the main villain, if there was one, and then the main hero type character, and possibly their closest supporting allies.
Absolutely. And then I think here the Mad Hatter could be a fun card as well, and perhaps the White Rabbit, since we have the White Rabbit's pocket watch. I think it would make sense for him to be in the game, and maybe he could just have the rush keyword built in to him. He could just hit the field with rush, wouldn't even need to use his pocket watch. Maybe not, but
And we are twins, so I feel obligated to say Tweedledee and Tweedledum. They could have some potential to be included in this game. I'm not the hugest fan of them because I'm just not that familiar with them, I guess, but they're a possibility too.
you wouldn't say no to him.
I would not.
All right, and then we are on to Beauty and the Beast, which has 9 cards already, but a very beloved movie. And so,
yeah, Beauty and the Beast, I think they will definitely have some Gaston. That's a big one that we're missing so far.
That's been hinted on the LeFou card, so we're pretty sure he's just got to be in the first set.
Yeah, I feel like he'll either probably be in Amber, so that you can play him with this LeFou, and also Gaston would be a villain, I'm guessing, whereas LeFou is just an ally. Mm-hmm. But the big Hades being in yellow, and he needs villains to be stronger. I think having Gaston in Amber could be something there. Otherwise, I also think Emerald's a real possibility for him. The Beast is Mine card already being in Emerald kind of suggests that Gaston might be as well. But he's a popular character too. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a couple versions of Gaston in the set.
Absolutely. And then we're still missing, let's say, Lumiere and Cogsworth, Mrs. Potts, Chip, a lot of the residents of the castle.
Yes, we have the wardrobe, so I expect we'll probably see some of the more iconic ones as well.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, a lot of possibilities there, and it does seem like this franchise has been heavily revealed so far, but it's very cool. We've got this Beast in Steel, and then we also saw that there was that yet unrevealed Beast in Emerald, so there will be more of him as well, and who knows, maybe even a legendary Beast at some point. But now we will move on to Cinderella, which only has 1 card so far.
Here's another example of Cinderella. Where is she? So she's probably in there. And
I think this trio right here that's
Yes.
shown in this image, Lady Tremaine, Cinderella, and the fairy godmother. That would be, a good trio to include.
Yeah, I would say those are the most likely that we would see.
Could also maybe see the stepsisters or the prince, but yeah, I think outside of that, I wouldn't expect to see too much more, but could be wrong. Maybe it'd be cool to have a glass slipper as an item card.
And what's kind of cool
because
is
that's a super iconic, item from the movies, and
we know there's going to be a lot of sets of this, so they can always continue to flesh out the different franchises with each next set.
Yeah,
they won't have enough room to put every character in right away, but they can always start including more of them with each future set. So
yeah, you can kind of build into the more tertiary characters as you go along and fill it out. So yeah, even if a franchise only gets 1 or 2 cards in a set, yeah, there's definitely potential for more later. And Fantasia, now I will admit I have not seen this film anytime recently, if at all in its entirety. I've definitely seen parts of it, but So, from this, I'm not entirely sure what you would include, but I do think Chernabog as the villain would be for sure something to include if they do want to, include the villain from this movie.
Yeah, I could see that. And then possibly also some different variations of the broom character.
Oh, yes,
because
for sure.
I know from the Lorcana website it says Amethyst includes animated objects. And so that's why here we have this broom brigade, or this bucket brigade magic broom character. And we know with Mickey's effects, reducing the cost of brooms, it seems like if magic broom is the only one in the set, that would really diminish the power of that ability.
Yeah,
so
I feel like
I'm expecting we're going to see more brooms than just this.
Yeah, this Mickey Mouse Wayward Sorcerer seems like a card you'd want to build your deck around. So I think you definitely would want at least to be able to run like 8 brooms in the deck instead of just 4 copies of 1 broom. So yeah, I'm definitely expecting at least 1 more broom somewhere in the first chapter. And then moving on to Frozen.
So Frozen's interesting because I think we have a decent number of reveals so far, and we know there's a couple other Elsas already that have been hinted at, but we are missing Anna, which is a big one.
I think they've got to include Anna.
And then Sven is very beloved by a lot of people, and then also the villain of the first one, Hans. He might be in there as well.
Yeah, I could see him being in the first chapter as well.
There's some other smaller supporting characters too, but I think for the first set, that's probably what we're gonna see is those characters.
And now Hercules, one of my all-time favorite Disney films. And so far we have 3 cards from Hercules, a couple of them being Hades and then Hercules himself. Definitely we could expect to see Zeus, I think. Potential legendary card there, or at least a very strong one. Megara, as well, as you can see in this image up top.
I think Pain and Panic, too, are probably definitely in Amber with Hades.
Yeah, I think if I had to guess on one character being in there, I definitely think Pain and Panic should be in there as some low-cost villains to
especially when that
help this Hades
King of Olympus gets stronger with each villain in play, and they're his loyal followers. And the Lorcana website says that Amber includes loyal followers, and so it seems like he would definitely have his henchmen with him.
Yeah, and then perhaps Pegasus could be included in there as well, and even perhaps Hera or Hermes or other characters like that, Phil, the trainer. So yeah, there's a lot of potential with Hercules. And now Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, I guess Pleakley is often paired with Jumba.
Yep.
So I could see there being a Pleakley. Lilo is already been hinted at in Steel. I think that's a strange version of Lilo, though, compared to what we've seen. So I think there will probably be another one as well that's a little more storyborn.
Yeah, that one's probably a Dreamborn Lilo, whereas, yeah, we'll probably see a more classic representation of her as well.
So those are a couple that I'm thinking of. And then, of course, we've seen Stitches getting another version in the Carefree Surfer. So
maybe Cobra Bubbles finds his way in.
He could be, definitely.
And now, Mickey Mouse and Friends.
So Mickey and Friends, I think one thing we're definitely missing is
Daisy Duck.
We're missing Daisy and Pluto. Those are kind of in the core characters that we haven't seen. But then also, this Mickey Mouse Musketeer is hinting at other Musketeers being in the game. And so the other 2 would be Donald Duck and Goofy. So I'm expecting there to be different versions of them that have the Musketeer keyword. And that would potentially make a nice deck strategy to include that trio of characters.
Yeah.
So that I think is something we're going to see eventually as well.
And now Moana.
Now this one is actually, I thought a little harder about these because in the amber color we already have Moana and we have the just-in-time card which shows Maui. So we do expect there to be Maui. He seems like a pretty clear choice.
Yep.
And also when the amber cards are organized alphabetically, there's 2 spaces right now that are missing. And Maui would perfectly fit into both. So there could be 1 or possibly 2 Maui cards in
I
that
could
color.
definitely see there being a couple Mauis.
And so this just-in-time card letting you play a character with cost 5 or less for free, it seems like maybe they're suggesting, Maui is just-in-time going to jump in and save the day. So we're kind of expecting there to be a 5-cost Maui.
Yep.
And then I also wouldn't be surprised if there's maybe a legendary version that is like the shapeshifter demigod form of him. possibly just as something they could include in Amber. We haven't seen any Amber legendaries yet, and we're running out of characters to reveal for that color. So
Yep.
I think he would make a lot of sense to be one. And then other things in the Moana franchise, there's also like Te Fiti and the fiery version of that, which was Teika, I think, before they get the heart back to her and she becomes her more serene self and brings life back to the islands. So I think we could see possibly Teika in Ruby if she's all fiery, and
Yeah, that'd be cool.
and then possibly the more nature one that kind of restores life. That could be a nice inclusion for Amber if they wanted to do kind of like another deity card like Hades, only in this case it would be more of a benevolent type of spirit who can bring life back. So I don't know, just some things we thought about there. And I think also one more thing with the Moana franchise, there is a space right after Part of Your World
For another song
alphabetically for another song card. So we thought You're Welcome, which is Maui's kind of signature song that he sings when you meet him for the first time.
Yeah, and I think the title of that song could, fit well in a card game. Maybe if it does a nice action that benefits one of your characters or your team in some way, and he could be asking for you to tell him you're welcome. And
yeah, and I think Maui is probably really going to help the princess team out, because I'm expecting he probably has bodyguard. I know at least one of them might, if there's two, because the website does say Amber Glimmers are either supportive or they're loyal followers, or they can have bodyguard. And we haven't seen an Amber with bodyguard yet, but he seems like in the movie he protects Moana at times, and so possibly he's just in time to kind of help her go on quests and keep her safe while she does that.
That would fit well, because currently with the princess decks people have been testing. I mean, once you send Moana on the quest, you can ready your other princesses, but Moana is still sitting there vulnerable, and with only one, strength to her. I mean, if they have a decent board, they're going to be able to, deal the 6 to her and just take her out. So yeah, if you could drop a Maui with a nice bodyguard ability, like that would really help the princess deck out, and fits well thematically since they're from the same film and he does protect her. So yeah, a lot of potential there. And next we have Mulan, which only one card so far. Definitely expecting Mushu to have some potential of making his way in here. I could see him being in Ruby as well due to his color. I guess he could maybe have the support keyword that we've seen with Hey Hey, or maybe some other keyword or ability, but very cool character. Also the Lucky Cricket, as you can see in that image there, could maybe make its way in.
I think it'd be cool if Mushu had some kind of like on play deal 2 damage, or like a little fire breath, like a mini version
that could be cool.
of what Maleficent has. And then I'm expecting definitely to see Shan Yu
he's quite the villain.
Yeah, and his color palette might lend itself nicely to Steel. And Steel, there's a lot of characters there that have swords, and I know Mulan's in Ruby, but Shan Yu could be Steel. He seems pretty menacing and powerful, and Steel's all about brute strength. And then also Lucky Cricket, I think they could do something fun with that, like with an effect, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he'll be included, but I always liked in the movie how he kind of helps the grandma cross the road. Even though there's a lot of crazy things going on, and she closes her eyes and carries the cricket across, and he sees her to the other side.
You could do some kind of, I don't know, random ability maybe with that, or maybe you can look at the top 3 of the deck, and if you find something that meets a certain qualification or whatever, you can add to your hand or play immediately, whatever, so like you have a chance to get lucky with that.
Yeah, you could have a chance based kind of luck.
And maybe if you're able to somehow manipulate and stack the top of your deck a little bit with other cards, you could try to guarantee that would work out, or whatever else they could think of to give him. But it'd be cool to see.
And then of course possibly Shang, and then there's some other characters from the film like Ping and Lee, that she can. Well, I think Ping is actually what she calls herself possibly, but there's other people that she trains with
in the army.
I think those are probably too tertiary though for what there's going to be space for in this set. So I'm thinking more like Mushu and Shan Yu and possibly Shang. But.
And maybe you could do something cool with like the Reflection song. Different things like that. Okay, now we're on to Peter Pan.
Well, I think we're still having a noticeable lack of Peter. So Peter Pan, I think a lot of people are probably really excited about him as a character. I know we both
Yeah, I
are.
personally would love to see him in there, and I imagine he definitely is. Maybe even a legendary card. Wendy also is, noticeably absent so far. And outside of that, I guess you could have the Lost Boys or maybe Shmi to help out Captain Hook a little bit.
You could have the crocodile. I don't know if his name's TikTok or something, if they just call him that after he swallows the clock. But, there's some other options there. But I think the main ones are definitely going to be Peter and possibly Wendy. There's the other, Wendy's brothers, Michael and John, I think. But for some reason, Wendy always seemed like a little more prominent to me. It might just be because she was the only girl of the bunch.
She's the oldest as well, so
with Tinkerbell.
She looks after them all, and I mean maybe they'd work the other ones in there at some point.
I think they probably will, but maybe up front they'll stick with Tinkerbell and different Hooks.
And you could also
a couple
include
different Peters, maybe.
Nana the dog as well, but not sure if they will. That would probably come a lot later if they did. And now Robin Hood. So far, there's only been Robin Hood revealed.
Well, you just watched this movie a couple days ago, so I'll let you kind of touch on this category.
Well, he has a right-hand man, Little John, so I would not be surprised to see him in there. Maid Marian, of course, his love interest. And then Prince John as the big villain of the film. I guess some other characters that could maybe be included. Sir Hiss has like a hypnosis ability. Doesn't be used to too much effect in the film. He's always kind of getting tied up by Prince John, but there'd be some cool things you could do with that. Friar Tuck, and then Lady Cluck. She is actually quite the formidable character in the film. Handles a lot of Prince John's goonies by herself, so I could see them including her. I believe she was also featured in the villainous game. So yeah, definite chance on her. And then Nutsy and Trigger, a couple of the birds that are guards at the castle. They could have some fun with those too.
Yeah, so now we will move on to Sleeping Beauty. And we've seen quite a few from this, just due to the number of Maleficents and Auroras that have been revealed. But there could be a Prince Philip. That's something we haven't seen. And then there's
the fairy godmothers.
The fairy godmothers. So we've got Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather. They could be, all one card. They could each have their own card. It's a lot of ways you could do that.
Yeah, I mean that's something to think about too. Like, do they want to use 3 cards to cover each of those, or just put them all on one? I mean, with all the sets they're gonna do, you could certainly afford to split them up and have a card for each. But yeah, I could also see them doing, all 3 of them on one, at least to start. Similar to like if the Fates were included from the Hercules film, there's 3 of them, but they're kind of seen as a collective unit. So, I don't know. They could go either way, but yeah, I could definitely see them as being pivotal characters in the film, being included here in the first chapter.
Yeah, it'd be kind of interesting if they just put them in their matching color, based on what they wear. But then again, primarily they want to group characters based on the traits that they exude, and whether or not they would fit those colors is unknown at this point, but they might be in the game.
Snow White, only the magic mirror so far, but we have seen that the evil queen will be included for sure. The card hasn't been fully revealed yet, but then along with that, I mean, the titular character Snow White definitely should be included there, and the 7 dwarves. Again, you could have all 7 on a card together, or you could have them individually, like maybe Sleepy. I mean, he could do something like putting an opposing character to sleep, so to speak. Maybe that just means exerting them in the context of the game, or that they don't like unexert or wake up at the start of their next turn. So if they were already exerted by the opponent on the other turn, it could be a surprise, like, oh, you're not actually getting that back next turn.
There could also be the huntsman, the one that the evil queen sends out to chase after Snow White. And then also, Prince Charming, he could be in there as well, because, his kiss wakes her up, so they could do something with that.
Yep. And now we are on to Tangled.
Now, Tangled, this is another one where I feel like we're missing some key things, and quite a few, actually. So I'm expecting there to be at least 1 or 2 different Rapunzels.
Yep.
She's something the princess faction is probably going to be excited to include, because I'm kind of expecting, based on Healing Glow, healing essentially 2 damage from a character, there's probably going to be a relatively cheap or mid-range Rapunzel that you can play, and like when it enters play, maybe it heals.
Yeah, I could
or
see,
possibly like when you go on a quest, you can heal some off of a different character.
I could see kind of like the 9-cost Maleficent has the Dragonfire ability built in, which is the exact same name as the Dragonfire card. Perhaps a Rapunzel has, on play, do the Healing Glow ability, heal for 2 while you play her. That could be cool to see. Yeah, and I also think you could have a high costed Rapunzel as well, potentially to shift onto, or just...
Yeah, we were discussing kind of how
costed.
in the film, at the end, she kind of brings someone back to life with the powers that are infused in her hair. So it's possible that she could, resurrect essentially a character that's been banished and bring it back onto your side of the field.
That'd be quite powerful. Maybe it would have to cost 9 or 10 to do something like that.
Yeah, maybe it probably comes in exerted, or maybe not exerted, but the ink would probably need to dry again.
But that'd be a cool ability, because so far we've seen some recursion, like add things back from the graveyard or the banished zone to your hand, but we haven't seen anything that would summon something directly out of the graveyard or banished zone, so to speak. So yeah, for Rapunzel to have that kind of ability, I mean, I could see it being possible. It would definitely have to be high costed, because it could definitely get out of hand or be overpowered based on some of the characters that you'd be able to summon.
But yeah, possibly in a late game control type of deck.
And maybe it would have a limitation where the thing you're summoning back could only cost a certain amount or less, But maybe not. It's however they decide is balanced, and that'll
But
be
then
cool.
some other characters too, Mother Gothel, the villain. Classic example of if you're gonna include the hero characters, you want to see the opposition as well.
Yep.
And she seems like very tricky and kind of conniving and like a trickster, so maybe she would be an Emerald.
Yeah, I can see that.
Flynn Rider also is kind of a rogue type character, so we could see him in Emerald as well. I would expect him to have some kind of effects that kind of mess with your opponent, just based on his nature in the film.
And now we will go on to the Emperor's New Groove. So right away, Cusco is missing, but we know he's going to be at least represented in Emerald.
And I would also venture to say he might have a llama version where he's in his llama form.
Yes,
he spends most of the film actually in that form. So that could be a way to kind of differentiate 2 different Cuscos.
Yep, I think Kronk as well is definitely a good comedic include in the film, and I think they would not miss the opportunity to include him here. And then, Pacha helps Cusco a lot throughout the film. It's a huge character, so definitely include him as well. And after that, we will go to the Lion King, where you can see we have Simba and Scar so far. There's definitely potential for more, like Zazu. We know Timon is going to be in Amber, per the Lorcana website. But then Pumbaa, his good old sidekick, should also find his way in here pretty easily. And, you could find Nala or Mufasa or Rafiki. I mean, there's a ton of Lion King characters that would definitely deserve a place in here. And I will not be surprised if they're all in there. Or
yeah, I think Timon, having been kind of revealed a little bit on their website, he seems like a supporting character to Simba in a lot of ways. And Pumbaa does too. But I could see if maybe Timon has the support keyword and possibly like 2 strength, so a little higher than Hey.
Yeah,
but maybe he's like a 3 cost to get that that effect. And then possibly Pumbaa, he might be a bodyguard, because again the Amber description on the website mentions supports and bodyguards in that color. So I think together those might be things we might see. And yeah, the other characters too, like Nala, Simba, and you can have younger versions of these, because we have the older Simba here, but when he's a cub, you would expect his stats to be a lot less, and maybe he has an ability, or maybe he's a vanilla of some way. There's different routes they could take, but I think there's still a decent number of cards to see from Lion King, and of course Hakuna Matata as well. That we expect that to be a song in this game, and it does perfectly fit alphabetically right before Healing Glow, and there's actually no more space for action cards around those 2 cards. So we're kind of expecting that Hakuna Matata is going to be the name of an action song in Amber, and who knows, maybe it'll heal some characters, maybe it'll give bodyguard to something. It could do a variety of things, and I'm excited to see what it does do.
Yeah, and maybe another song there could be like I Just Can't Wait to Be King. As you can see, the 7-cost Simba is a king character, so maybe there could be a way to play that card, and then on, let's say, a lower cost or a kid version of Simba, and then quickly be able to evolve him into this bigger king version. Maybe not, but just a fun thing to think about. And The Little Mermaid. Well, definitely right off the bat, I noticed a lack of Ursula. I would love to see Ursula in the game, as well as her two minions, Flotsam and Jetsam. I think there's a good likelihood we'll see all of those characters, and as well as King Triton. And then there's potential for Sebastian and Scuttle. We have seen Flounder already, so those two characters as well could definitely merit an inclusion.
Yeah, I'm really hoping for the Flotsam and Jetsam. I think that'd be fun if you could put those into a villain deck, and if they maybe assist Ursula in some way.
Yep, potentially even Hades if they're in the right color to go along with the King of Olympus, Hades. And then The Princess and the Frog.
So yeah, here we're missing Tiana,
Mm-hmm.
and also Prince Naveen.
And
and then Mama Odie. She's kind of a counterpart to Dr. Facilier, so I think those are all things we probably will see at some point, if not right away, but definitely Tiana and probably the Prince.
Yep, maybe
sure.
even Ray, the Firefly. And the Crocodile as well. There's a lot of good characters to include from this film.
Mm-hmm.
And as you can see, they've already got the really good card draw card, Friends on the Other Side.
Yeah, that card's fantastic.
And a 2-cost Dr. Facilier, we could definitely see a higher costed one too.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have a version that has like a special effect and not just a static keyword of Challenger.
Yeah, because he's known for his voodoo type of action.
He's a very interesting character in the film, and I think they're gonna definitely want to capture that with some fun abilities on like a higher rarity card. This is only a common, so
Yep.
I'm expecting to see a more rare version of him.
Yep, I agree. And then we have the Sword in the Stone. So
Yeah, this
far we
one
have Develop Your Brain, which seems to be like a very good card.
It does have Wart on the picture of that card, but we might get a character card for him.
Yep.
And also, Madam Mim and
Absolutely.
Merlin. I think those would be good inclusions. Probably they'd be most likely in purple, I think, just based on that they do a lot of sorcery.
Mm-hmm.
But, she's kind of tricky too. She could be an emerald or something
Yeah,
like
I could
that.
see Madam Mim being in Emerald for sure. And then, we could also see Archimedes, the owl. He's pretty pivotal in the film as well, and he saves Wart at one point. And yeah, he seems pretty clever, and
yeah, I think
nice
Sapphire is about using intelligence too, and using all the best tools. And I know Merlin's really a proponent of books and education and things, and Develop Your Brain's already in blue, so it's possible too Merlin could be a Sapphire card. But
yeah, I think if we were to see any villain from the film, it would be Madam Mim, who really seems to be the only
and she
actual
shapeshifts a lot, doesn't she, at the end? So kind of as part of the magic she's doing.
Yep. Yeah, she's able to take on a number of different forms.
So we could see different forms of her.
Yeah, she definitely seems very villainous and is out to get Wart, but she is thwarted in her attempts. But yeah, great movie, and I'm sure there will be more than just the one card we've seen so far. And lastly, so far of the franchises that have been revealed to be in the first chapter, we have Winnie the Pooh. And here we can tell we're definitely missing Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, because Tigger may be the only Tigger, but he's probably not the only character we're going to see from this franchise. We're definitely missing Pooh, and then there's Eeyore, Piglet, Rabbit, Kanga, the Owl, and Christopher Robin even. You don't see him a whole lot, as much as you see the other characters usually in that show, but Christopher's definitely a huge part of the series, and I would not be surprised if he's in it in some way.
Right. So yeah, that's just a look at the franchises so far. I'm sure we will probably get more than just the franchises that have been shown so far in the first chapter. Maybe Pocahontas. Maybe
Yeah, there's definitely
Tarzan.
some I'm hoping to see. Like I want to see Tarzan and Pocahontas for sure, and there's many others too.
But
like
you know,
Treasure Planet would be great.
Oh yes, and if they don't make it in the first chapter, though, there are a lot of sets so far. I mean, they announced at least their plans for the first 6. So, you know, if a franchise didn't make it into the first chapter, you know, it'll definitely have more opportunities to make it into further expansions. But yeah, that's just a look at the current ones so far. And as always, thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, hopefully in our next video we'll have more like new reveals and stuff to discuss. But we thought this was kind of just a fun way to look at what has been revealed and then see what it might hint at, you know, that we haven't seen yet. So.
Yeah, it's unclear how fast and how frequently they want to start revealing, you know, more cards that we haven't seen yet, or whether they'll keep a lot of them just kind of hidden up until, you know, it's closer to release. I know
like part of me really wants to know it all, but then part of me thinks it would just be really fun opening packs for the first time and being surprised like over and over again by all the cards that I haven't seen. So part of me like wants that excitement to be there, and I know I'm going to be excited regardless, even if I've seen everything.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there's various ways to look at that, and I think a bit of excitement would be nice to have. For sure, so I don't mind if they keep some things under wraps, and I'm just looking forward to what comes next with this game.
Right, and you know, if nothing else, when Gen Con rolls around, there are going to be people opening packs that are coming in those starter decks for the challenge event. So, you know, at that point, there's potential for all the cards to be discovered, and anything that hasn't yet been revealed would be, you know, revealed by the people opening them at that point. So, you know, perhaps they will want to reveal everything before then. Or maybe they will, you know, keep a little bit secret, or a decent bit secret. But yeah, there's still, you know, many days left before that. So even if they revealed one card a day, there would still be cards that were unrevealed at that point. So yeah, it'll just be interesting to see. And every time we see a new one, it's always a fun, exciting time. But yeah, until next time, maybe we'll have more news. Maybe not. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, thanks for sticking with us this long, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks so much. Have a good one. Bye.